Oi, pessoal. Eu sou o Adriano Fromer, sou fundador da Quantum Academy, que é uma escola de transformação baseada na visão de mundo quântica, e também sou parceiro do físico indiano Amit Goswami, também cofundador da Quantum Academy. Apesar de eu conviver com o Amit Goswami há 18 anos, né, nos conhecemos faz 18 anos, eu não me lembro se eu fiz uma ou duas entrevistas na vida com ele, então fico muito feliz de poder ter essa oportunidade, de além de ser amigo e parceiro, de agora estar no papel de entrevistador. Então, para quem não conhece ainda o Amit Goswami, ele é um físico indiano, radicado nos Estados Unidos, né, formado em física pela Universidade de Calcutá, na Índia, mas o Amit lecionou durante muitos e muitos anos na Universidade do Oregon, nos Estados Unidos, né, na cidade de Eugene, onde ele morou muito tempo por lá. E o Amit, uma certa época da vida dele, um certo período da vida dele, ele começou a perceber que a física, por si só, o estudo só da física, não estava dando conta de atender os anseios da alma dele. Foi quando ele iniciou o processo de estudar a consciência, ou seja, trazer a física, principalmente a física quântica, para dentro da consciência e utilizar esses conhecimentos da nova física, né, para entender fenômenos da experiência humana, como sentimentos, intuições, experiências espirituais e assim por diante. O Amit escreveu um livro que se tornou mundialmente famoso, chamado O Universo Autoconsciente, e nesse livro ele explora justamente essa união da consciência e da ciência, e aí, depois disso, são histórias. Ele escreveu mais de 25 livros sobre esses temas, vários deles aplicados nas áreas de atuações específicas, certo? Então vamos lá. Hi, Amit.
Hi.
It's a pleasure to be your interviewer. I just said in Portuguese that we know each other. I don't know how long we've been, but I can remember how many interviews I did with you. So
I think since 2007.
Since 2007, wow, it's a long time. Okay, Amit. So first question is not a question, it's to ask you to tell us a little bit about your history from childhood to this point. So what are the remarks point, the things that you think were like turning points on your life to become what you have become?
That will take a long time. So let me make it kind of short. Forget the childhood part, except I grew up in a small town. That might be an important news, because small town growing up is very different than growing up in a city. Growing up among nature, a little spiritual upbringing too, you might say. My father was a spiritual teacher. So in that sense. Then I moved to the city and got my college education, and that's all pretty much as a normal physics aficionado. I love physics and tried to learn as best as I could. Intrigued by quantum physics, did not get into it though. Much of the intrigue. People said, don't touch it, nobody can solve those problems. So that's that. Then I came to the United States. My first job was at Case Western Reserve University. Then moved to University of Oregon, where I stayed for the rest of my academic life in America until 1997. Then I retired and started my own thing very soon. I worked at Institute of Noetic Sciences for a while. That's in California. But after that, started working on my own, and in 2009, I already established Center for Quantum Activism. And ever since, I've been busy doing. You came in my life in 2007. That started Brazil as a major part of my journey through the year. And then I've been a quantum activist. I've been trying my best to change the worldview from the materialist worldview to quantum worldview, which integrates science and spirituality.
Excellent. So what happens that we see, like common sense says that, you just said integrating science and spirituality. The kind of common sense says, okay, spirituality is one thing, and we're happy with that. People from religion, philosophers, they study spirituality, they live spirituality, that's good. And then there's science, scientists, they just work with science, and that's good. So kind of people are quite happy with this dichotomy or this dualism. Why put them together?
It's not a question of why put them together, why we must put them together.
Yeah.
Because quantum physics compels us to do that. When we start with quantum physics, what seems simply like a paradox is this. Objects behave like waves in some experiments, but they behave like particles in some other experiments. So initially people thought that maybe they're both wave and particles. The wave aspect reveals in some experiments, the particle aspect reveals in some other experiments. The objects were thought to be having complementary properties. Wave and particle are complementary properties of the same object. This was the thinking. But more and more analysis of the experiment showed, and recently even experimental data has shown, that the same experiment can reveal both wave nature and particle nature. It's not that some experiments reveal only wave nature, some experiments reveal only particle nature. It's not like that. The same experiment can reveal both wave and particle nature. So complementarity is false. So what is called Copenhagen interpretation, majority of textbooks still published Copenhagen interpretation as the interpretation of quantum physics, and that's simply wrong. So what replaces it? It turns out that there's a very simple answer, but people are reluctant to face it. The mathematics of quantum physics shows very clearly, no ambiguity, that quantum objects are waves, period. They're waves, they're not particles. Only when you measure them, surprisingly, they are not waves anymore. They are only particles. So only waves where? In a domain of potentiality, we must posit. There must be two domains of reality. One reality for quantum waves of possibility, domain of potentiality, and the other domain is the usual normal space-time domain where we seem to live.
Okay, so you're saying that the domain, the actuality is the domain we live in. The potentiality domain, we don't live in it.
We don't live in it.
It's just an idea. What is it?
It is an idea, but don't forget, these days science has admitted that ideas that can be experimentally pursued are valid ideas. This idea has been called unconscious by Freud. And of course, unconscious has effect on the conscious. We can measure the effect of the unconscious on the conscious and frame conclusions on the unconscious. So to say that unconscious is not measurable is not a valid concept anymore.
So I can say the unconscious is the wave object.
Unconscious is the residence of the wave object.
The residence of the wave object, and conscious is, when I'm conscious, is the manifestation of
the particle aspect of the object.
Perfect. Okay. So you also mentioned when you were talking about yourself that you are a quantum activist. So what is it? What is it to be a quantum activist?
Yeah, well, look, quantum physics was founded, the mathematics was discovered in 1925, 1926. Almost 100 years ago, or it is 100 years ago. So it is a shame that the message of quantum physics, the solution I proposed of quantum physics appeared in a paper in 1989, published as a book, quite popular book actually, Surpower Universe, in 1993. And even that is like more than 30 years ago. And it is a shame that the message of quantum physics is so slow to catch on. I mean, I have a certain amount of popularity, especially in Brazil, I know that. But still, it is a worldview change you are talking about. It should catch fire because this worldview integrates two disparate systems of human thinking, both important in their own ways. Nobody denies that science is important. Nobody in their right mind would demand that spirituality is not important. So, what prevents us to accept a scientific worldview that integrates science and spirituality, both being valid systems of human thinking? This is my gripe, and this is the reason I work so hard to establish this quantum worldview, so that science and spirituality can be looked upon as one and same thing by people again.
Excellent. So I know that you say that a quantum activist is someone that transforms himself and the world simultaneously. Okay, so a quantum activist doesn't wait to be totally transformed to help transform the world, but while he does that, he still has to go through some transformation process. So when you say transformation, to transform, or personal transformation, what does it really mean according to quantum worldview?
Okay, that is a very important question to address. We evolved from animals. There's no question about it. And that evolution has left us with some conditioning that goes very deep. We call them instincts, and that sort of gives you an idea. Instincts are things that crop up without our being aware of it. We cannot control it, in other words. And these animal instincts, among them are extreme me-centeredness. I only know about me, not others. Negative emotional brain circuits, a certain attachment to pleasure. All these three enormously affect our human condition as well. Now, for animals, it worked out fine because they are only interested in survival. They don't have any interest in higher needs, what Abraham Maslow called higher needs. But human beings do have interest in higher needs. And these preoccupations with me-centeredness, negative emotions, and pleasure prevents us from addressing, exploring higher needs.
What do you mean by higher needs?
Higher needs like love, higher needs like exploration of truth, higher needs like being good to people, higher needs like being just.
Okay. And you are saying that when we seek pleasure, we forget about seeking those higher needs. Can I say that if we seek pleasure, our tendency is to be less happy?
Well,
Can I say that?
It is a little bit more subtle than that, but still, think about it. I mean, being pleasure automatically forces us to objectify the object of pleasure, the person I'm having pleasure with. Of course, I can have pleasure with myself, and that's okay. But often, pleasure involves another companion, and that's where the problem starts, because you objectify the partner of pleasure. And when you objectify a person, the relationship is very, very, very incomplete. And a lot of relationship problems starts. In other words, a relationship is not a relationship at all. It's a relationship with an object, not with a human being. And if you treat a human being as an object, you can feel on the other side and see how it feels.
Okay, so how, talking about relationships, okay, based on your experience, I mean, it doesn't have to be like romantic relationships, but it could be. Okay, you talk about whatever you want. But in your life experience, what does it mean to have a relationship where you don't objectify a person, a truly, how can I say, happy relationship?
Actually, to tell you the truth, I have only discovered this new way of relating only for the last 10 years or so. It took me a long time to get the hang of it. Although the idea came to me a long time ago in the 1980s, but how to live a relationship that is truly equalized, equally weighed between the two people is actually very hard. because we have a natural tendency of dominating the other, which makes us hierarchical. All animals live in hierarchy, and that gives you an idea of how compulsory it seems to be. And most human beings, most through our history, have lived hierarchically. So this idea that one can live in tangled hierarchy, equal footing for both people in relationship, is an idea that is purely quantum idea. Why is it important? It's important because it gives us self-identity. If you have a tangled hierarchical relationship with another, you and she, you and he will make a self together. You will not have separate selves anymore. Some of the time when you are in tangled hierarchy, you will have one self. You'll be like one being, one united being. I mean, that's the ideal way of looking at a partnership, isn't it? I'm partnered with someone. I can be separate. I can also be one some of the time. An ideal partnership would be if I'm one some of the time, and some of the time, of course, I'm separate.
In practice, what do you mean exactly by this tango hierarchical relationship? What does it exactly mean in practical?
I'll give you an example from the world of sentences. I am a liar. Look at the sentence. If I'm a liar, I'm telling the truth. If I'm telling the truth, I'm a liar. So sentence goes back and forth.
Circular,
In a circular sentence. So it's a circular hierarchy. You create me, at the same time I create you.
I see. So it's not me dominating you, but we doing it together.
Do it together.
Okay. And talking about happiness, okay, so how can you define happiness? Should we, and also should we live our life in the search of happiness?
Well, once you hear what happiness is according to quantum physics, you sure would like to live your life that way, because it seems natural to do it for a human being who is satisfying his or her higher needs. Higher needs are the crucial. If you recognize that you have higher needs like love, beauty, justice, truth, etc., then you don't even ask questions, because you know that engaging in these things expands your consciousness. What do I mean by that? It means that those things are done with people better than with yourself. Okay. Think about it. You can love yourself, sure, we all do, but love is not fully found, is not fully revealed to us unless we know how to love another, unless we expand ourselves to include another. And same thing with goodness, and same thing with truth. Relationship, human beings are relating objects. Mm-hmm. They are not objects like objects, purely objective, independent, and separate. They are relationship, objects of relationship, and that's what makes us subject.
So you're saying, my question, is it possible to learn how to love? I mean, Jesus said, love thy enemies. Is it something we can really properly learn how to do it?
I have to say that yes, because I have done it, and so I am convinced that everybody can do it. I was a very heavily materialistic person, scientist to the core, and if that person in a 40-year journey through his later life could change himself to be able to love enemy, then I think everybody can.
Oh, good news. So you talked about, you said love, justice, goodness, and I know those words, they mean what you call the archetypes,
right.
Okay, or the fundamental archetypes. Can you talk a little bit about what are those archetypes, and why should we really embody them or search to explore them?
Yeah, this is a very good question. Quantum physics says consciousness is the ground of being. Now, consciousness is there for everything. Of course, there must be ideals of consciousness also. that everything must include also ideals that we would like to have, ideally, for a conscious person to embody. And archetypes are those ideals that consciousness has already selected as part of the science of consciousness. That, yeah, this is the purpose of your life, to fulfill the explorer, to explore and embody these ideals, these values. So these are basically the archetypes, the context of thinking and feeling that takes us to a higher, more happy, more intelligent being.
And what are those archetypes? Can you name?
So
You said there are 9, right? 9 main ones.
9 main ones. And those are, we have mentioned some of them already: truth, beauty, justice, love, goodness. Let's mention the rest of it: power, abundance, and wholeness, and self.
Okay. You wrote a book called The Physics of the Soul. And in this book, you use science to say that, yes, there is reincarnation. Yes, there is something after we die, like consciousness still lives after we die in this manifested world. Can you elaborate that a bit? How does it work?
Well, consciousness is a major thing, major print that we make on the world as we experience the world. These things we call memory. Now, there are two types of memories. One type of memory just gives your history. That part is in the brain, dies with us. But there
you mean like when I was like, if I was an engineer or if I was a musician, or I can't remember, we lose that.
Yeah, or even instances like, you are a book publisher, then you became a teacher, lecturer, and also you love guitar on the side.
Yeah. So I lose that, I forget that.
So that's your history. You love guitar does not tell you anything. You may play guitar, you may not play guitar. But you're learning to play guitar. If you learn to play guitar, you have an expertise. That is not recorded in your brain. That capacity to learn music, that capacity is non-local memory, memory that resides outside of space and time, memory that can be communicated without exchange of signals, and therefore does not require the physical world.
So I was about to ask where those memories reside, but you said it's outside of space and time, so there's nowhere, right?
Nowhere.
Okay. It's a difficult concept for us to grasp, right?
It is a difficult concept, but that concept of the speed of signals, that settles it. In the space-time world, every signal has a finite speed, and therefore things can only move with a finite speed. But in this world of non-locality, signals are not required, finite speed requirement is not required, and therefore things can travel instantly from one object to another. So this instant communication make it a kind of a oneness. That world is like a oneness. Nothing else exists except that oneness.
So let's summarize, see if I got it. So I have my own life here, and when I die, okay, I was a book publisher, I used to play guitar, and I learned how to communicate quite well, okay? So I die. So I can't remember anything, but my learning capacity of playing guitar, my learning capacity of speak well in public, those kind of things, they remain outside non-locally.
Non-locally.
And a new life, then a baby is born, and those capacities are manifested in this new baby. Is that right?
In the new baby, with the slightest attempt. With the slightest attempt to trigger them. I mean, you still have to present the book to publish,
okay.
for him to publish. So he has to have the opportunity.
The opportunity to manifest, okay. Yeah. Perfect. We see that putting together those science and spiritual concepts is not a very popular thing among scientists, right? So in the academic, you might face a lot of people who are to call this pseudoscience or call you names that don't belong to you. So how can you, what can you say, not to them, of course, but you can say to people to balance those kind of negative views on quantum science and spirituality?
I just appeal to their common sense, A, and B, just be a little bit of a reader. I mean, they should be able to discern, for example, a little bit of experimental data. Like if I say that, look, quantum science, conclusions of quantum science is support about consciousness is supported by experimental data and recite an experiment, they should be interested and be able to read that experiment and say that, yeah, this cannot be explained by scientific materialism, this can be only explained by the quantum worldview. So this kind of discernment attitude if people have, and every one of my readers obviously has them because they are reading these books, they are getting it. Otherwise, why would they buy a book? It costs money, you know. So I'm convinced that people can understand why scientific materialism is a failure. And also, as I said, it's common sense. We feel. Now, the epitome of machine aspect of human being is the computer. But can you even imagine that a computer will ever feel something? It's an impossible thing. So this feeling, experience of intuition is another one. These are examples of experiences that machine being cannot have. Material being just cannot have. And these are major aspects of many people's life. Okay, not everybody intuits, but all creative people intuit. You have been creative all your life, and you have been intuitive all your life as well. How can you deny it? So many, many people relate with me that yes, they can intuit, they can feel, and therefore their common sense tells them that Amit Goswami may not be wrong.
Great. So you talk about computers. We are not computers, but we are facing one of the greatest revolution in technology, which is the AI kind of taking over everything. So, of course, people are very worried about losing their jobs, and some people go even further and say, okay, they will replace completely human beings on whatever endeavor human beings are up to do. So, can we say that it would be possible? Can a machine, an AI, replace us, really?
From what I have seen of AI so far, and I don't see how to improve on this one. What I have seen of AI so far, AI is very risky to use even for human endeavor. In fact, my experience with AI is that you can use it for only to complement what you can do, save your time, in other words. If you have AI and use your AI to write an essay, for example, for you, you really have to check word for word to see that AI has not made mistakes, because AI is very prone to make mistakes, both on ideas and on grammar. Even grammatical mistakes they make. That's amazing. I was very surprised to find. But ideas certainly, because it mixes up ideas. It does not know how to verify the truth value of an idea. And therefore, the program is just not a substitute for human beings. Human beings have this uncanny ability of intuition, which has truth value. When we intuit something, we know that it is true. So human beings can make statements based on intuition, which will be true. If the computer tries to do this, it will be doing it some completely different algorithm. Mm-hmm. And that different algorithm does not have any place for truth value. So truth is compromised constantly in whatever the computer does, whatever the AI program does. And then it depends on what kind of civilization you want. If you want a civilization that is thriving on disinformation and misinformation, like right now some people are trying to make it so, then of course, that's the way we are going, no question about it. But of course, we are not that, and we are not going to eventually go in that direction. I think truth is a fundamental need for us It's one of those higher needs, and when we get to it, we'll find that if we follow truth, we become happy. If we follow untruth, we become unhappy. And that's the clincher.
So, I mean, you, of course, when you put science and spirituality together and acknowledge spirituality as something that we all must seek or live, how do you do that? I mean, what kind of practices, what kind of daily things, behavior, or even meditation, whatever, what do you do to manifest your spirituality?
There are two kinds of works. One is the work on your negativity, negative aspects that I already mentioned, me-centeredness, negative emotions, pleasure, information seeking, that's another one. So these are negative aspects of ourselves, and we have to put a check on that, put a control on that. We have to reduce them to free time for other kind of work that are proactive towards becoming more quantum, more happy. And those are creative, intuitive, feeling-oriented, emotion-oriented. So positive emotions, meditation, slowing down the mind, these are very, very important aspects. Getting into feelings, vital energies, emotions, as I said. Intuition and creativity, archetypes, getting to know the archetypes, getting to explore the archetypes, eventually getting to embody the archetypes. That's when we become truly happy. In other words, focus your attention from survival needs to meaning and purposeful needs.
Great. And well, in all those things, what about forgiveness? I mean, because we see a lot of people saying forgiveness practices. So it's a kind of a personal question. You don't have to go into the details, but have you been able in your life to truly forgive someone that hurt you? And is it possible to do so?
This is a very difficult question because one doesn't know until one is put in the position.
Okay.
We can think that, yeah, we have forgiven. I would like to think that I have forgiven my scientist friends for ignoring my thesis. But until you face them, I have faced them only on paper, only on articles. There it's very easy to be magnanimous. But face to face, I really can't say because I have not really had a debate. Long time ago, I did have a debate with a professor at the University of Hawaii. And there I was magnanimous and he was not. It was so obvious that almost unanimously I was declared the winner. But that was a very special case. He was a truly kind of, quote-unquote obnoxious man. So it was easy to be magnanimous to him. Okay. But people who are subtle and obnoxious, that's another question entirely. So I have not been tested properly, and nobody is. Nobody is. This question is very hard to answer. We can only suggest that, look, do these things and practice forgiveness. It's a good thing. Whether you have been able to forgive, well, you will know only when time arises, when the test arises.
So in your work, you say that there is a purpose on evolution. Okay, or purpose of consciousness, we, like society, species, we all evolve. Okay, there's an evolution going on. But when we see the world exactly how it is today, okay, we are in June 2025, right? So we see the authoritarianism taking place a lot of places. We see war in Europe, war in the coming, things we thought they were like not really going to happen again, and they happen. So how can I see that as as an evolution of consciousness? Is there a way I can see, okay, something better will happen?
Yeah. What we are saying is the tail end of the rational era. The rational mind avoids consciousness. Because rational mind is logical, it does not require choosing. Logic can give you answers. based on past answers. And so rational mind has a great disadvantage. It enables us to do wonderful things as far as rational mind can go. And indeed, computer science is a good example of it, because all you need is rational mind mostly. There also you need, for basic revolutionary ideas like computer itself, lots of creativity is needed. Mm. But once you have the computer, once you have the algorithm, once you have discovered, like, yes, AI, the modern versions are a great discovery. But once you have discovered, now to take it further, it is not that hard. It can be done fairly logically, rational steps. So this makes computers a dangerous thing, because you can be wrong. Rational thinking is good only so long as your basic ideas are right. But suppose you start on basic wrong ideas, like computers have no idea of ethics, computers have no idea of positive emotions, and therefore how do you teach it those things? You cannot. You have to teach them as axioms, and that doesn't work, because there are always subtle questions which requires intuition.
And you say we are in the end of the rational mind.
We are towards the end of the rational mind. That is my hope. That is my assumption.
And what will come after rational mind?
What will come is the intuitive mind.
Intuitive mind.
We have 4 kinds of experiences: physical, vital, feeling, physical sensing, vital feeling, mental thinking, and archetypal intuiting. 4 kinds of experiences. So we have had already the sensing hunter-gatherer society. We already had the vital horticultural or garden agricultural society. The mental we are going through right now, rational, this is the one we have been going through since heavy-scale agriculture to industry to technology to high-tech. This is the one that is going on right now. Right now we are in the middle of high-tech. Let's see how long we go, or is there anything beyond high-tech? I don't think, but I don't know. And then comes intuitive mind. But when, who can say? It could be 1,000 years. It could be just a decade. We don't know.
We don't know.
How strong the quantum activism movement is, it depends something on that, I'm sure. Because, I see progress. When I started 30 years ago with Self-Aware Universe, very few people could entertain the idea that science and spirituality can be integrated so fully and so satisfactorily. Most people found the idea intriguing, but they would be oppositional to begin with. They could not believe it, that can be done. But over the years, I have filled up all the gaps that existed in my beginning work, and gradually people have given me a lot of trust. And so, let's see.
Let's hope. Yeah.
Let's hope.
So, you wrote, God knows how many books, okay, more than 20 books. I know it's like asking a father who's his favorite son, but yeah, do you have a favorite book that you wrote? And what are you writing right now? How can what can we expect the next Amit Goswami's book?
The next book is easy to answer because I'm in the middle of writing it. And that's some I need names. Will eventually publisher will choose the name, or I'll choose if I self-publish it. But it is spiritual history of humanity, or wow. Spiritual history of the world, something like that. What book I like is more difficult. Self-Aware Universe I will always like. There was too much heart put into it. The Everything Answer book I like because of its. I got personally very involved with it. And a book that I'm writing with Valentina Onisor, on love. That book is turning up to be something that I'll probably like. Return of the Archetypes, the currently book that you're currently publishing, I like that book a lot.
Very good.
The Quantum Integrative Medicine is another favorite book. So it's a bit hard to single out.
Okay, Amit, let's play a little bit. Let's move out a bit of the serious business. And I want to ask very quick questions for people they can know a little bit about your tastes, your personal tastes. So
Oh my God.
it's like rapid fire questions, okay? Whatever comes to your mind. So Amit, say a book. It could be a novel, it could be scientific.
This is fundamentally difficult because some things I like, and some things I use as my guide. They are both very important to me.
One of each.
So, well, I like Rabindranath Tagore's poems. So his collection of poems is something that I pick up when I want to get myself enthused.
Okay.
On the other hand, the book that I use as my guide to both scientific research and spirituality is the Bhagavad Gita, and another book actually, Gospel According to Thomas. This is a Jesus-written gospel, but written by his disciple Thomas. Is not very well known, but a wonderful book.
Great. A movie or two movies. I know one is not enough for you.
Well, movie is harder because these days I don't like movies.
But there wasn't like a movie when you were younger that changed you somehow or gave you or you really enjoyed?
No, the problem is that I like comedies more. Okay. And when you like comedies don't have good messages. Comedies message is very simple in movies. The good wins. I like the good wins part, but I know the message is very shallow. It's not going to do me much good. The tragedies are better, but I don't like to see tragedies, so I seldom, let's put it that way, seldom see. I did like the movie War and Peace, though.
What?
War and Peace.
War and Peace, okay.
I did like that movie. It was 4 hours long, but I did like it.
And a song?
Killing Me Softly. Killing Me Softly with your song.
And I know you've been to a lot of places in the world, but just one place in the world.
One place in the world. This is another very difficult one. I mean, okay, as a city, I probably like Vienna the most, but as a place, then it must be, the mountains, and any and all of them look the same, but they all look wonderful.
Yeah.
Ocean too.
Okay, good.
So 3. You ask for 1, you get 3.
And in food?
Food. Well, even after all these years in the West, I still like Indian food. Chinese food comes close. Yeah. There we go, 2.
And a word or a sentence that you find that guides you or is important?
I love you. That's easy. I even know the Portuguese of it. Eu amo você.
Perfect, that's it. I mean, you have been to Brazil, again, God knows how many times, okay? So I assume you like Brazil. You like being here. And I've heard you said once that Brazilian people have something special that you think is important. So can you elaborate that? What do we have that is important?
I think the Brazilian people, and in general, I have only been to 4 South American countries, Brazil, Argentina, Chile, and Peru. But in all 4 countries, I have found people of positive emotions a lot more than in the North. So I think in generally we can say that we generally talk about East-West in connection with religion. Eastern religions are a little mystical, more spiritual. Western religions are more head-oriented. But this division also very applicable. This North-South division. North is more rational-oriented. Southern hemisphere is more emotion-oriented. And that means also more positive emotion-oriented. So, it is a very different culture. And the culture being different, meaning that people look at people more emotionally rather than rationally. These hierarchies that we create with rational mind. Emotion doesn't know hierarchies. Love doesn't know any hierarchy. Love usually manages to get a little bit of tangled hierarchy whenever it gets the opportunity. So I think that is why I come back again and again to Brazil and love Brazilians in general.
Okay, Amit. So we are finishing, coming towards the end of our interview, but of course, I'd like you to say a final message, especially a final hope message for people. What do you expect people, or what they should expect in this world?
We mentioned quantum activism, didn't explicate it very much, but it is changing yourself while you try to change the world. It is very important today for people to realize that not all people are created with the same kind of emotional setup. Most people, maybe not too much, too many more people, but it's about 40% know value of goodness, 40% don't know the value of goodness, and 20% in between kind of situation as far as altruism, goodness is concerned. And this is the problem. So what do we do with those people who don't have any idea of altruism, the other, so that they can even contemplate thinking of the other, taking care of the other, this kind of thing. And this is what we need in the world. So this mindset of positive emotion is very important because that's what enables us to overcome negativity and include the other in my equation. And to do that, one has to be a quantum activist. And this is why we established, you and I, and a few others, of course, Quantum Academy in Brazil. And good news is that we are succeeding. We have increased in popularity year by year virtually, right? So that's good news. But of course, the correspondingly, we have been trying to establish a master's and PhD program with collaboration with the affiliated, government-affiliated university in India. So it's a legitimate degree, not a fly-by-night degree by any means. Completely, this university is top 20 or the top 20 universities in India. So, but are we going anywhere? We have students, but for minimal survival. We still don't have a respectable number of students to say that we are making a dent in the transformation of the whole world. And that's a very big. But again, it's not very much people that we are talking about. David Hawking, psychologist, he estimates like 15% of people are ready for it. So it's a question of publicizing. So if we can publicize properly, these things can become, taking advantage of the good side of the internet. Internet is not only about social media, it does give opportunities of institutions like us to publicize quickly if it catches the eye of the people. So I have hope. I'm a very optimistic person about this. Let's see.
Thank you very much, Amit.
Thank
Was
you, Adriano.
wonderful. Gente, muito obrigado por assistir. E é isso.